Hey, what's up? This is Scott with Level Up Tuts, and today I'm going to be talking about fonts in CSS and how you can control what your text looks like by changing the font, your size, your style, your variant. Okay? So, really, the first thing you have to know is that the font properties start off with the word font. Now, there are several font properties. There's font, font-family, font-size, font-style, font-variant, and font-weight. Okay, so these are all of them, and they can be used to do a couple of different things. And you can even use them all under the property of font. Just like we did for background when we had more than one value for the property for background, you can compact them all under the font property. Well, to illustrate this, I'm going to do some stuff first, and then we're going to simplify it at the end, okay? So let's actually go to our site that we had been building, and if we check this out, by default, it's whatever your browser is going to be setting this text as. I believe it's set 2 times by default. As for web fonts go, there's a few fonts that are going to be able to use without some CSS3 add font face stuff, which we'll get into later. You can use for serif Times New Roman or Georgia, and then sans serif you can use Arial or Verdana. And really, you can sort of use other ones like maybe Helvetica, but you're taking the chance that not everybody's going to have that font, so you could have a backup, which would be Arial. So let's get into this, and let's change this paragraph, and we're going to make this font-family, and we want this to say Arial, and then we'll comma, and then we want to put sans serif, because let's say that you don't have Arial for whatever reason. It's going to pick just a generic sans serif, whatever your browser set to. Let's go to Chrome, refresh this. Now we have Arial here. Well, that's pretty basic. Let's add something else here, and let's add a comma. We can add Helvetica, save this, and let's refresh. And now inspect this. It looks like we have Helvetica here, okay? And it's because I have the font installed on my computer, it's able to use it, because the site itself is not going to be serving Helvetica. So you could put Helvetica in here, or any font really. You could type it in as the font family name, and if you have it on your system, it's going to show up. But it's not going to show up for everyone. Okay, so don't go throwing everything in here. There are services that allow you to use other fonts other than the web fonts, like Typekit or Font Squirrel has a way to do add font face for some more interesting fonts. You can always check out it's just fontsquirrel.com. If you come here, you can follow the directions and get some font face kits and add some different fonts to your site. But we're just pretty much going over the web fonts, the standard web fonts, and it's almost what and it's really what people would use for a long time. It's almost in the past few years have you been able to use other fonts through replacement methods, and now you have at font face, which is great. So we have font family. It's going to change what this is. You can put backups. You can have a whole bunch of commas if you want to have backup fonts, and that way you can, if somebody doesn't have that font or the font's not getting served correctly, you can have it still look okay. So another way you can define font size is with a different kind of unit called an M, and an M is sort of relative to each other. By default, with your font size set to 100% for your body, 16 pixels is going to be equal to 1M. So to illustrate this, I'll have this be 16 pixels, and then I'll have the paragraph be 1M. Okay, and now let's come to our Chrome, and you can see they're the same size. So just experiment with them and check them out, and we'll be going over all about the details once you have a little bit more CSS underneath your belt to take care of this. So right now I'm going to set this as 1.4 Ms, and I'm going to set this one at 23 pixels or something, and refresh. I take that back. I'm gonna just 33, whatever, just so it's bigger. Here we go. Just so we have some text here. And like I said, we'll manipulate this a little bit more in the future and go over some M stuff, okay? So what else can you do with font? Well, we mentioned font family, font size, font style. Font style could be italics. Let's say you want your font to be italicized, oblique, or just normal. Those are the different properties. So let's have our H1, actually this first paragraph, we'll just have this be font style, and it's going to be italic. Okay, and now we have a semicolon, come back here. Now this first one's italicized. So that is one other property. There's also font variant, which the only property is normal or small caps, and I don't use this one a ton either, but let's go into it just so you can see what it does. Font variant, and this is going to be small caps, and let's check out our Chrome. And as you can see, the text is all like uppercase letters, but the font size is smaller, so it looks like the same proportional to upper to lowercase, but these characters are actually the uppercase. So that's small caps for font variant. And there's one more, it's font weight. And font weight is where you would make your text bold. So again, let's add this to this first one, and we can say font weight bold. And let's go back, refresh this. Now it's bold. We can also use font weight as a number. They go from 100 to 200, 300, 400, multiples of 100. And so 700 is, or 400 is the same as normal. 700 is the same as bold. So the 900 would be extra bold. So we refresh this, come in here, and it's a little bit more bold than if you were to just type font weight bold. So you could also have bolder and lighter, or any of those numbers. So that's font weight. But like I said earlier in the tutorial, we can actually just use the font tag to take care of a lot of these. So let's type font. So in our font tag, we can go over the font style first. So we can say italic, then we can space, and now we're going to say the variant, which we had before was small caps. And then now we can say the font weight, which was 900, and then the font size, which I'll set to 1.4 ems, and then now we can have the font family, which was Helvetica, Arial, and sans serif. Okay, so let's actually get rid of all this stuff right here. I'm actually getting rid of this text indent, and I'm actually going to get rid of this font on the normal paragraph just so you can see the difference. But what I did was I took what is normally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of CSS, put it all in one nice compact line where you can edit it and see really easy exactly what your font is. So let's save this and come back to Chrome, and I'll refresh this, and as you can see, it's the exact same. All of those properties came out just like we had them when they were individuals. So you might be thinking, well, what happens if you don't want these small caps? Like, what do you put here? Do you have to put normal here? No, you can actually just leave this empty, and now they're not going to be small caps, but it's still going to work just fine. All the other properties. So as long as they're in the correct order, you can have or leave out as many of these as you want, and it's just going to add the ones that you have here. So let's go back here. Okay, so like I said, this saves a lot of space. I'd probably recommend using this if you're having more than one property that you're editing at once. But let's say you're just attacking the font weight or something for one particular part. You can just use font weight. Go right ahead. So use this when you can. Saves less space. You know, you have to type less. It's, you know, you're not repeating yourself. Okay, so that is the font property for CSS. As always, if you have any questions, please leave a comment on the video. Hit us up at Level Up Tuts. Let us know what you're thinking. Once again, this is Scott, and thanks for watching.